Welcome to An Engineer's Life, Episode 10, Focus and Flow. My name is Dave Roysum. In the last episode, we talked about making time. Here, we talk about making the best use of the time that we do have. I am not a psychologist, so I cannot opine whether we are capable of true multitasking or whether it is sequential multitasking. In any case, something like this is necessary for certain tasks. For example, when you fly a plane, there are three important areas of attention. The first priority is to aviate. In other words, as they say, keep the shiny side up. You don't want to be putting your airplane into a spin because you weren't paying attention to airspeed. Second is to navigate. You don't want to unintentionally fly into protected airspace. To do so will get you in trouble with the authorities at the very least, but also may endanger the safety of yourself and others. Finally, after all of that is taken care of, you must attend to communication with the tower, because they might have something important to tell you. However, no matter how much multitasking may be needed for some situations, it is definitely not helpful for other activities that are far better done without distraction. We must be able to focus to be most productive on many cognitive tasks. This focus must be sustained because even a momentary distraction, such as a phone call, can take many minutes to recover from. For me, at least, a quiet environment is helpful. Also recall from our last episode that getting enough sleep and exercise will pay back in terms of improved cognition. Finally, stress is not very helpful, except for those who only respond to deadlines. We have all heard of morning people and evening people. Still, any advantages one group may have over the other are completely overshadowed by you doing certain activities when you are at your best. While it is difficult to measure productivity for many cognitive tasks, it is relatively easy for writers and coders. That is, how many pages of decent text or code can you generate in an hour? For me, personally, I can get 2 and sometimes as much as 4 times as much good writing done in early morning than I can in early afternoon. Writing at times when I'm not at my personal peak usually means a rewrite that takes even longer than if I had just waited for those optimum hours. So, what do I do with my off-peak hours, which are the slightly larger portion of the day? Math, for one, such as doing expense reports and invoices and bills. Making calls and looking things up on the computer are other examples. While these specifics apply to me, they may not apply to you. You must first know yourself well enough to detect subtle differences in quality and quantity of cognition. Second, you should try and arrange your day so that you can spend the quality time on the task that demands the most quality. For many, that might mean getting up super early and doing reports before the office and phones get busy. Which leads us to flow, a word coined by Russians whose last name I will not attempt to pronounce. Some people call this immersed and energized focus as being in the zone. I am often able to get into a sustained state of flow for a few activities. These activities include photography, certain demanding sports, and writing. For other activities such as gardening, I require a distraction to avoid boredom. This distraction could be listening to audiobooks or podcasts. Maybe multitasking has its place after all. In any case, If you want to learn more about this subject, you can read Mihaly's books or see him speak, such as recorded on TED Talks. This episode is not the place to go into depth on creativity. Whole books are written on the subject, including one of my own. However, the same kinds of things that kill creativity will also kill focus and flow. These include stress and distractions, which we've already covered. However, to this list, I want to add two other related creativity killers. They are self-doubt and overthinking things. If you think too hard about something, there's a good chance you're going to talk yourself out of it. Too hard, too expensive, too time-consuming, and so on. Instead, I would suggest a very different approach. That is, if it strongly appeals to you and there is even the slightest sliver of possibility, commit with all of your heart and soul. In short, impulsive to seize on an idea, but once seized, do not ever let go until it is done. Then, if it makes sense, let it go and move on to the next impulse and seize on that new impulse with all of your heart and soul, and don't let it go until it's done. I call this lifestyle sequential obsessions. Thank you so very much for allowing me to share some of my experiences for living a productive engineer's life.